Hi everyone, welcome to Monday. This week I'm going to do a bit of a focus on multiplication, and I might do a series of videos of different ways we can cover multiplication. The reason for this is that I had Miss 11 come home last week and we had a few meltdowns around, but the teacher said I had to do it that way, and I'm starting to poke and go, well, what are you carrying? Why are you doing it that way? Blah, blah, blah. And it actually ended in tears. So I had to take a step back and we worked through things, and we actually started to get some concrete materials, and I'll show you that strategy as well. So the big issue here is that when we have something like this problem getting out, the 35 by 16, they do their 6 5s are 30 and I carry the 3. Well, what does that mean? Why is it there? Why did you carry this 3? Oh, because the teacher told me to. Okay, cool. So then we do our 6 3s are 18. Do I times it by 3 now? Do I add that 3? I don't quite remember. And we get stuck. So normally we do our 6 3s are 18, we add our 3, we get to our 210. So next problem that we get is, and then I put a 0. Why? Because that's what the teacher told me to. Yeah, but what does that mean? Why now? Blah, blah, blah. And then I do this and this. And hopefully we've lined them up and we start and we get to our solution. So I'm trying to get kids away from, but that's what they told me to. The other thing that we got to then that became a bit of an argument was, say, if that was, say, a 3, and we had to start carrying other numbers, that we were crossing this out, which, you know, it isn't great, because later if you're trying to backtrack and you don't know what you've done wrong, why did I cross that out? And I'm trying to work it out and I can't. So this week is around multiplication, trying to share some strategies, some different ways to approach it, a bit more conceptual, a bit more understanding, a bit more knowledge of number, a bit of practice of place value, all those skills, rather than, but that's what the teacher told me and I've learnt this rote learn pattern. Okay, so today we want to talk about how we can teach long multiplication in a way that kind of makes sense to kids. So in this example, we've got 23 times 17. And I've got these blocks. You can use anything, it really doesn't matter. But what we need to start to understand when we're doing long multiplication is that groups and tens, because so many kids will get upset and confused, but the teacher just said I need to carry. So in this example first, we've got 7 groups of 3. So you can actually sit with the kids, and they can be blocks, they can be Lego, they can be pieces of paper, they can be just whatever you have, rocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What you're going to get is you're going to go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. So what they'll do in their rote learning is they'll go, I put the 1 and I carry this 2. But what do you actually? So if these are my 10s, I've got 10, 20, 1. My unit gets recorded, I carry my 2 10s. That's my extra 20. Next, we've got our 7 groups of 2 for our 10s, which is actually now 7 groups of 20. Now, I don't have enough 10s. I haven't thought this out well. I don't have enough 10s, but there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And straight away, kids can go, there's 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. Plus I have these 2 10s extra, there's 20 that I carried over before. that come here. So now I have 160. And so it becomes 161. We take 2, 4, 6 here, and our 100, which is our 10 tens. So all of a sudden now, in blocks, we have our answer of 161 in our first row. What needs to happen next is we go, we've done our units now, so now we're just dealing with our tens. So I have 3 groups of 10 first to make. I move all this up. I have my 3 groups of 10, 1, 2, 3, that go in my tens column, and I've got nothing to carry over. Then I have my 10 groups of 20, which is going to give me my 200, which again, I'm a block short. So I'm going to say that that's my 100 represented in a different way. And again, maths isn't perfect. It's messy. You use what you've got. You need kids to have that flexibility and that comfort in order to be able to do this. So here's my 23, here's my 17, and I've multiplied them together. Here's my first row at 161. Here's my second row of 230. There's no tens here. There's no units here because we're finished with our units. Everything we're working from now is tens. So nothing is here. So that's why we have a 0. Not because that's what the teacher told us we had to do, was to write a 0. So once you've added these up, we have 300, we have our 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 391 is our solution. So that's one way of doing it with concrete materials. Now, I wouldn't advise doing many of these a day, but it's just, you might start with 1 or 2 of these and then have the resources put away and maybe give your kids another 2 to practice. Then every day you might pick 1, you might pick 2, you might do an example, but it's getting this concept of going, I'm not just carrying some random 2, I'm carrying 2 groups of 10. I'm adding 20 to add on later in my grouping. So that's what you're really trying to reinforce, this idea of place value and this idea of multiplication and understanding what these numbers are that you're carrying across. Okay, welcome back to Multiplication Week. So today, what I want to do is teaching kids how to do things in their head. So we've got, again, 26 times 14, say. So part of this is they can go, yeah, I can do it that way. Or we can start to get them to the point where they go, well, I've got 4 groups of 26, and I've also got 10 groups of 26. So we can actually just put that to one side and go 26 times 10, and then 26 times 4. That may work much better for some kids because straight away anything times 10, we're just going to put a 0 on that one. So we're going to say that's equal to 260. This one, well, they should know that 20 groups of 4. So again, this one can be broken down to 20 groups of 4 plus 6 groups of 4. It may seem like a long way to do it, but if you get kids to start thinking about pulling things apart, it makes algebra really easy later on because they're already starting to think, I can break this down so I can deal with my x's here and my y's here because I can factorize them out that way. Because they've already got this principle of 26 times 4 is the same as 20 times 4 plus 6 times 4. So you're actually starting to get them thinking in a far more mathematical way. So we can then go, yep, 4 2s with a 0 on the end, we're straight at 80, 6 4s, we're at 24. And the really important thing about this skill is once you've pulled it all apart, is the understanding that this equal sign means that it has to stay balanced. What's on one side must be on the other side. We can't just delete things or lose things or add things. That's one of the main rules in maths. If there is an equal sign, we have to stay as it was. So it's then understanding I've broken all this thing apart, and then to get the answer, I put it all back together. So then I'm just running, and I'm sorry, I'm not great with whiteboard space at the moment. It's 260 plus my 80 plus my 24. Then I can start either way. I can add my 80 first to get my 340. I can get to 104 and then get to my 364. So when you do this pulling apart, your children might actually see this and may get taught to do an array. So you've got 26 here, you've got 14 here. And then you add them all together and you get your answer here. So you'll get to 364. That's teaching them to just follow a process and draw into an array. This is actually teaching them what that array is. So arrays are really helpful because you can go, well, this is 20 and this is 10. Sorry, that should have a line. That's my 10. For my 14, that's my 26. I can start working out, that's 200, that's 60, that's 80, and that's 24. So we're not actually doing anything revolutionary, anything new, but it's letting them go. If I add all these things together, if I go down, I've got my 280 there, I've got my 84 there, I add them together, I get to my 364. So this is when I talk about understanding the processes and the principles are different. That's just a process and a tool that we can use. This is actually going, I understand number, I can pull things apart. I know that once I've pulled them apart, I have to put them back together. And so we start to get far more comfortable in using number. And that's really what we want to try and get them really confident and competent with using number. And once you've got this principle of pulling things apart, like I said, algebra becomes really easy because you're not trying to teach that skill. You're just trying to teach them about putting letters there now instead of numbers. Thanks for watching today. I hope you got something out of it. Please leave a comment, please ask questions, let me know so I can know that I've got stuff to go back to. I'm going too fast, you'd like more examples, you'd like some worksheets to go through, just please let me know, and thanks for being on the journey.